Getting certain things in life requires absurd luck, or rather, absurd bad luck. For example, imagine you're walking peacefully when, out of nowhere, a meteorite hits you on the head. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, the odds of that happening are about 1 in 1.6 million, which is still more likely than winning the lottery. Now, do you want to know what's even less likely than getting hit by a meteorite? That one of your bones turns into a fossil. According to some scientific estimates, only 1 in a billion bones actually fossilizes. It's so rare that less than 0.1% of all species that have ever existed have left any trace in the fossil record. And that doesn't even account for how difficult it is to find those fossils once they form. That's why discovering a fossil is already an incredible find. But every now and then, remains appear so well preserved that they seem to freeze in time the exact moment of a violent death, giving us a unique window into the brutal battles of prehistory. Today, we'll explore some of the most impressive fossils ever discovered, those that reveal the wild and ruthless world in which dinosaurs and other extinct creatures lived. In the prehistoric world, where dinosaurs reigned as dominant predators, there was one confrontation that defied all expectations. This epic clash wasn't between two Jurassic titans, but between a dinosaur and a mammal, a duel few would have imagined, and one that surprisingly didn't end the way most would assume. Around 130 million years ago, during the early Cretaceous period in what is now China, a dramatic scene unfolded, one that was frozen in time thanks to an extraordinary fossil. This fossil captures a crucial moment in evolutionary history, a mammal called Rapenomamus taking on a dinosaur, the Psittacosaurus. Rapenomamus was a mammal about the size of a badger or raccoon, making it one of the largest mammals of its time. Though small compared to dinosaurs, this animal didn't seem like much of a threat, or perhaps it was. With sharp, elongated teeth designed for tearing flesh, Rapenomamus was a formidable predator, and as it turns out, it wasn't afraid of dinosaurs. Psittacosaurus, on the other hand, was a small bipedal dinosaur with a sturdy skull and an appearance that made it look like a cross between a parrot and a lizard. Though not a giant, this dinosaur wasn't exactly easy prey. However, the fossil evidence shows something astonishing. Rapenomamus was attacking Psittacosaurus. The fossil reveals that Rapenomamus had its claws firmly gripping the dinosaur's skull and body, while its teeth were sunk into Psittacosaurus's ribs. The force of the attack was so intense that 2 of the dinosaur's ribs had been torn off, suggesting that Psittacosaurus was about to become the mammal's next meal. However, this hunting scene didn't end the way Rapenomamus had hoped. In the midst of the struggle, a massive volcanic eruption swept through the area, burying both animals under a layer of ash and volcanic debris. This catastrophic event not only killed them instantly, but also preserved their battle in a frozen moment in time, allowing paleontologists to uncover this incredible scene millions of years later. What's most fascinating about this discovery is that Rapenomamus was 3 times smaller than Psittacosaurus. This raises the question, why would a relatively small mammal dare to attack a much larger dinosaur? The answer may lie in other Rapenomamus fossils that have been found with dinosaur remains in their stomachs. This suggests that these mammals weren't just scavengers, but specialized dinosaur hunters, willing to take incredible risks to secure their survival. This fossil is not just a window into a dramatic moment in prehistory, it also challenges our perception of mammals during the age of dinosaurs. Some mammals, like Rapenomamus, were bold and fierce predators, capable of taking on the rulers of the prehistoric world. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. We have set the goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers before the first half of this year, and with your support, we can achieve it. Join this community and let's make this channel grow together. In the field of paleontology, few discoveries capture the imagination quite like the discovery of a Tyrannosaurus rex and a Triceratops locked in what appears to be a fight to the death. This fossil, found in Montana's Hell Creek Formation in Tube 6, is one of the most iconic and best preserved in history, offering us a glimpse into a dramatic moment that took place 67 million years ago. The fossil, known as dueling dinosaurs, shows a Tyrannosaurus rex and a Triceratops in a position that strongly suggests a violent confrontation. What makes this discovery truly astonishing is the incredible state of preservation of both dinosaurs. The Tyrannosaurus rex is the only fully complete specimen of its species ever found, even retaining details such as outlines of internal organs, stomach contents, and proteins. Meanwhile, the Triceratops, though not perfectly preserved, also displays an astonishing level of detail, including bite marks and wounds that tell a fascinating story. Both dinosaurs show clear signs of a fierce battle. The Tyrannosaurus rex has a cracked skull, broken fingers, and a mouth full of fractured teeth. These injuries suggest that the predator didn't have an easy fight. On the other hand, the Triceratops bears deep bite marks on its spine, with Tyrannosaurus teeth embedded in its bones. These wounds indicate that the Triceratops was attacked with brutal force, but also that it did not go down without a fight. However, there is one detail that has puzzled researchers: the size of the combatants. The Triceratops was a fully grown adult, a massive creature weighing several tons. In contrast, the Tyrannosaurus rex was a teenager, much smaller and less experienced. This raises the question, why would a young Tyrannosaurus rex take on an adult Triceratops, a clearly dangerous and difficult prey? Several theories attempt to explain this mystery. One suggests that the Tyrannosaurus rex was not alone, and that the attack on the Triceratops was a coordinated effort by multiple individuals. While evidence of social behavior in Tyrannosaurus rex is limited, some fossils suggest that they may have hunted in small groups. Another, more widely accepted theory proposes that the Triceratops initiated the fight. Perhaps the herbivore felt threatened by the presence of the young Tyrannosaurus rex, especially if there were young Triceratops nearby. This defensive behavior is similar to what is observed in modern elephants and rhinoceroses, which attack predators that come too close to their territory or offspring. What remains a mystery is how both dinosaurs died at the same time. One possibility is that a landslide buried them mid-battle, preserving their struggle for eternity. Another theory suggests that they may have been caught in a sudden flood, which would explain why the Tyrannosaurus rex is found in the classic death pose with its neck arched backward, a position commonly seen in dinosaurs that died from drowning. In the world of fossils, some discoveries stand out not only for their scientific importance, but also for the dramatic stories they tell. One such discovery is the famous fossil known as fighting dinosaurs, an astonishing testament to a life and death struggle between a velociraptor and a protoceratops. Found in Mongolia's Jadokta Formation, this fossil provides a window into a moment of violence and chaos that took place over 70 million years ago. The scene captured in this fossil is so intense that it seems straight out of a movie. The velociraptor, an agile and lethal predator, is locked in a deadly battle with the protoceratops, a sturdy herbivore armed with a powerful beak. The positioning of their bodies suggests that the velociraptor initiated the attack, possibly attempting to hunt the protoceratops. However, the herbivore did not go down without a fight. In the fossil, we can see that the velociraptor has its sickle-shaped claw, one of its most feared weapons, embedded in the neck and abdomen of the protoceratops. At the same time, its left arm is scratching the herbivore's skull, while its right arm is trapped within the powerful beak of the protoceratops. Using its strength to its advantage, the protoceratops seems to have knocked the velociraptor down, pinning it beneath its body. The battle was brutal. With one of its limbs immobilized, the velociraptor used its hind legs and claws to inflict deep wounds on the protoceratops' neck and abdomen. However, the herbivore fought back. Its beak and sheer weight were formidable weapons, and it is likely that the velociraptor suffered significant injuries during the fight. What happened next remains a mystery. The most widely accepted theory is that during the struggle, a nearby sand dune, destabilized by a recent storm, collapsed on top of both dinosaurs, burying them alive and preserving their battle for eternity. However, some researchers have noted that the protoceratops shows additional injuries, such as a broken shoulder girdle and a missing limb, which cannot be explained solely by the velociraptor's attack. This suggests that perhaps both dinosaurs died in combat with no clear winner. It is possible that the protoceratops bled to death from the wounds inflicted by the velociraptor's claws, while the velociraptor was left trapped beneath the herbivore's body, unable to escape. Later, their partially exposed carcasses may have been scavenged before being completely buried by another natural event. In the prehistoric waters, where survival was a constant battle, there was an encounter that showcases the ferocity and the unintended collaboration between two of the most feared predators, a crocodile and a shark. This event, captured in a 20-million-year-old fossil, reveals a dramatic and violent scene involving a peaceful Sirenian an animal similar to a modern manatee and its two attackers. The protagonist of this story is a Corystosiren, a 4-meter-long Sirenian that inhabited the waters of what is now Venezuela. These animals, distant relatives of today's manatees, were herbivorous and peaceful creatures, lacking natural defenses against predators. Their size made them potential prey for the largest and most aggressive carnivores in their environment. The animal's body shows severe and widespread bite marks so intense that they caught the attention of paleontologists. After a detailed analysis, it was discovered that the wounds did not come from a single predator, but from two, a crocodile and a shark. The bite marks on the Corystosiren's skull match those of a giant crocodile, possibly an extinct relative of modern caimans or gharials. This crocodile, estimated to be about 6 meters long, was the first to strike, biting the Sirenian's snout with such force that it even punctured the bone. This attack was not random. The crocodile was trying to drown the Corystosiren by holding its head underwater, a technique still used by crocodiles today. But the story doesn't end there. As the crocodile struggled with the Sirenian, a tiger shark, drawn by the commotion, joined the feast. This shark, whose descendants still exist today, repeatedly bit the Corystosiren's body, leaving deep marks on its spine and neck. One of its bites was so violent that the shark's teeth remained embedded in the Sirenian's bones, allowing scientists to identify the second predator. The most astonishing aspect of this fossil is that the bite marks indicate the Corystosiren was still alive during the attack. This was not a case of simple scavenging, it was an active and brutal hunt. The crocodile and the shark, though not working together in a coordinated effort, took advantage of the situation to take down a prey far larger than either of them could handle alone. Although the Corystosiren did not survive the encounter, its story has endured for millions of years. In the late Jurassic seas, where life was a constant struggle for survival, a strange event took place. This incident, preserved in a fossil, involved 3 creatures: a small fish, a pterosaur, and a larger fish. What began as a normal day in the warm waters of what is now Germany ended in a scene of chaos and destruction that defies the imagination. The first protagonist of this story is a small fish called Leptolepides, a common inhabitant of Mesozoic seas. This fish, barely a few centimeters long, was swimming peacefully when it caught the attention of an aerial predator, the pterosaur Rhamphorhynchus. With a wingspan of approximately 2 meters and a mouthful of needle-like teeth, this pterosaur was a highly effective hunter of small fish. The Rhamphorhynchus dived towards the water, snatching the Leptolepides in its jaws. For a moment, it seemed like the pterosaur had secured its meal. However, nature had other plans. At that very moment, a larger fish, Aspidorhynchus, entered the scene. This fish, measuring about 85 centimeters long, was no giant, but it was large enough to pose a threat. With its elongated, sharp snout, the Aspidorhynchus attempted to ambush the pterosaur, but its attack was poorly calculated. Instead of capturing the Rhamphorhynchus, the fish collided violently with one of its wings, piercing the delicate membrane with its snout. The impact was so strong that Aspidorhynchus's teeth became entangled in the fibrous tissues of the pterosaur's wing, creating a biological disaster that neither could escape from. The pterosaur, still holding the small fish in its throat and now entangled with the larger fish, began to sink helplessly into the water. The struggle was chaotic. The pterosaur's wing, already severely damaged, became further dislocated. Meanwhile, Aspidorhynchus, trapped in the pterosaur's wing, tried to free itself but only made the situation worse. Exhausted and wounded, both creatures sank into the depths. It is likely that the pterosaur drowned first, unable to escape. Aspidorhynchus, still entangled, soon followed. The tiny Leptolepides caught in the pterosaur's throat also perished in this tragic encounter. This incredibly well-preserved fossil offers us a window into a moment of prehistoric chaos and violence, a testament to how unpredictable and brutal the Mesozoic world could be. One of the most remarkable cases involves an animal that walked the earth not too long ago, the Columbian mammoth. These giants, with their imposing size and massive tusks, were icons of the Ice Age and undoubtedly some of the toughest mammals to have ever existed. In their daily lives, they had to face legendary predators of all sizes and hunting strategies. But ironically, the most striking fossil doesn't show a mammoth fighting a fierce carnivore, but rather another adult mammoth. This fight took place in what is now Nebraska around 12,000 years ago. In fact, it's possible that some humans witnessed this battle, and it surely would have been a terrifying sight. It was a brutal fight, even by prehistoric standards, and what's most curious is that paleontologists believe it was especially lethal due to something that, in theory, should have made the fight less dangerous: broken tusks. Both mammoths had lost a tusk before the fight, allowing them to get much closer than they would have otherwise. And when they clashed, something terrible happened. One of the mammoths received its opponent's tusk directly to the eye socket. For any creature, losing an eye in a fight usually means the end of the battle, and for this mammoth, it likely meant the same. However, there was a problem: the broken tusks. Normally, when a fight ended, the mammoths could separate and go on with their lives, though battered. But in this case, due to the irregular shape of their broken tusks, the two became hooked together, unable to separate. This forced them to keep pushing and struggling in a desperate attempt to free themselves. In the end, one of the mammoths, completely exhausted, lost its balance and fell to the ground, dragging the other with it. And this is where the situation went from dangerous to fatal. Their bodies, each weighing over 10 tons, ended up in a position where they couldn't rise. Exhausted and trapped, they slowly died from hunger or dehydration until eventually their bodies were buried and, over time, fossilized. But this discovery held an even more surprising detail. When the researchers unearthed the remains, they found a third victim in this tragedy: a coyote. Its crushed bones and pulverized skull indicated that at some point it was accidentally trampled by one of the mammoths. What was it doing there? It's a mystery. Some scientists believe it may have gotten caught in the fight while attempting to scavenge one of the dying mammoths, making it one of the most unfortunate coyotes in history. And this is not the only fossil that reveals a striking moment from the past. As we mentioned in our video about amber, this magnificent stone has the ability to preserve incredible moments. I invite you to watch it, as when we talk about fossils with exceptional preservation, amber always takes the crown. And within a golden amber sphere, 100 million years old, lies a scene frozen in time. Two worker ants caught in a fierce battle, with one sinking its jaws into the head of the other. While a fight between ants may not seem like the most spectacular find, what's truly surprising is that these two combatants belong to different species. This provides us with the oldest evidence of war between ants, suggesting that these tiny insects have been in conflict for at least 100 million years. But that's not all. Another Cretaceous amber fossil has revealed something even more intriguing: the presence of a termite and a worker ant in the same fragment, hinting that the rivalry between ants and termites may have existed even before the cataclysm that wiped out the dinosaurs. These creatures might have been engaged in an endless war for untold millennia, cementing ants as some of the most persistent predators in history. And as if Cretaceous amber was determined to immortalize the struggle for survival, a third fossil, found in a mine in Burma, presents another dramatic scene: a juvenile spider caught in the middle of its attempt to devour a tiny parasitic wasp. Unfortunately for the spider, its hunt was interrupted forever, as it was sealed in resin before it could finish its meal. This fossil, though it may not seem the most striking at first glance, holds a unique merit. It is the only known fossil evidence of a spider attacking its prey in its own web. An astonishing testament to the brutality of nature, frozen in time so we can marvel at it millions of years later. If you think that prehistoric battles were only between colossal dinosaurs from the Jurassic or Cretaceous periods, think again. Around 210 million years ago, during the Triassic period, an epic showdown took place, a battle between two titans of their time: a Rauisuchio, a relative of modern crocodiles, and a Phytosaur, a semi-aquatic reptile that resembled a crocodile but wasn't one. Both were formidable predators, each ruling in their respective territories. The Rauisuchios were adapted to life on land, dominating the solid ground, while the Phytosaurs lurked in rivers and lakes, patiently waiting for their next victim. For a long time, paleontologists believed these beasts avoided confrontation, each respecting the other's domain. However, a surprising discovery suggests that things were far more violent than we imagined. A fossil femur belonging to a giant Rauisuchio measuring 8 meters long was found, with clear bite marks. But what's most impressive is that embedded in the bone were teeth, and upon analyzing them, scientists discovered they belonged to a Phytosaur. In other words, this land beast was attacked by a semi-aquatic rival, and not just any Phytosaur, but one significantly smaller, measuring only 6 meters long. This finding is astonishing because it contradicts what we would expect from a predator versus predator encounter. In nature, carnivores usually prefer smaller or weaker prey, but here we have a predator going after a creature larger than itself. The story becomes even more interesting. The femur shows 2 types of bite marks, some healed and others fresh, suggesting that the Rauisuchio survived an initial attack only to be attacked again later, this time fatally. It seems this wasn't a one-time fight, but part of an ongoing conflict with the phytosaurs, raising a fascinating idea. These predators were hunting other predators. This behavior can be compared to what we see today in some modern ecosystems. For example, in Africa, herbivores cross rivers infested with crocodiles, which use their aquatic advantage to ambush animals much larger than themselves. It's possible that during the Triassic, something similar occurred. The Rauisuchio, in an attempt to cross a river, may have been surprised by hungry phytosaurs, who attack quickly from the water, targeting the back of their victim, just like modern crocodiles do. Seeing how life in the Triassic was a constant battle between predators, maybe we should feel fortunate to live in a world where the biggest dangers are things like traffic jams or slow Wi-Fi. In the vast and fascinating world of fossils, there are stories that stand out not only for their scientific relevance, but also for the peculiar and, in this case, painfully hilarious events they recount. In '99, a group of researchers made an astonishing discovery: the fossilized remains of an Allosaurus 147 million years old. This predator, which in life must have been feared and respected, had a peculiar and extremely painful injury. Its pelvis had a huge hole, as if something had pierced directly through it. But what truly made this discovery memorable was the exact location of the wound, right in the area where the Allosaurus crotch would have been. Imagine for a moment the pain this dinosaur must have felt. Not only did it survive the initial impact, but over time, it developed a fist-sized abscess in the affected area. This abscess became severely infected, and for weeks the Allosaurus had to drag itself across the prehistoric landscape, enduring unbearable pain as the infection spread. Eventually, this infection was the cause of its death, turning this predator into a sad example of what can go wrong when nature decides to be cruel. But what could have caused such a catastrophic wound? The researchers reached a surprising conclusion. The most likely culprit was a Stegosaurus. This dinosaur, known for its impressive tail armed with sharp bone spikes, had the perfect weapon to inflict such damage. The current theory suggests that the Allosaurus, in an attempt to hunt the Stegosaurus, underestimated the power of its tail. With a swift and powerful movement, the Stegosaurus must have struck the Allosaurus right in the crotch, piercing its pelvis and leaving it with a wound that, though not immediately fatal, doomed it to a slow and painful death. A painful yet valuable lesson for any predator daring to face a Stegosaurus. Sometimes the prey has more power than it seems. If anything, these fossils teach us that nature has always been brutal and ruthless. From the colossal battles between dinosaurs to the silent wars between insects trapped in amber, the struggle for survival is a story as old as life itself. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to support it with a like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you don't miss out on new content. Thanks for being part of this amazing community. See you soon in the next video.